I get an early pick, just taking games.
There's no point to take Strat, right? Like, is there a point to take Strat in a best ball format? No.
And you have changed your name to Stephen A. Swift. You are the leader. You are a different group of Swifties.
I think Jameson Williams is going to outscore. He's going to outpoint Amon-Ra St. Brown this year.
The stats are kind of fugazi, man.
Come on.
Let's go.
There's like 50 feet of shit and then Kyler and Henderson.
I think it's a buying opportunity for the Chiefs, actually.
You ever see me take Bryce Young as a quarterback, even as a backup? Smack me when you see me in Vegas.
I'm all about Devontae Adams.
They're hurting their own team. You could just turn around later and take, Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin.
I just go, what the fuck are they doing at running back?
Hell yeah. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. FFPC live draft coverage, Tuesday night. I'm your host, Aidan Liquorie. Joining me, as always, comprising the three Goombas, myself, Dave Terpoilli, Jake Venuti, and Fantasy Alarm's lead NFL analyst. He's living the life. He roots for Jason Tatum, Roman Anthony, Drake May. He's got it all. Andrew Cooper. Coop, thanks for hopping on with us.
Dude, thank you for having me. And even more importantly, thank you for sneaking me in the intro this year. Last year, I was very disappointed. Twice cracked the intro.
A lot of tears were shed.
Second take being a legitimately terrible take. But I was a huge crybaby last year, and that's just a big lesson to everybody else out there in the industry listening. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Yep. Just like I'm a diva wide receiver, I needed to be in, and feels good. Feels good to get those targets, dude. So I appreciate that.
No, I mean, to be fair, the second take was just in reference to, I think it was someone was like reaching on Burrow. No, it was someone was blocking a Burrow chase stack, which it did dramatically. The analysis was sound, but had to get you calling stats fugazi was a lot to be in there.
Had to be in there, and dude, guys get hurt. You know what? Commanders get hurt. It happens. So I stand by my take even today, even though I forget exactly what it was. So let's go.
Yeah, so we are here, FFPC Big Gorilla, $1 million grand prize. Drafts are running all the way until Sunday of week 1. Coop last year had said you were on one of our earlier ones, not the first one, though, and you're like, I want to be on the last one. This year, we're going to have you on the first Big Gorilla stream and the last, if all goes to plan. We'll see if that works out.
Like rent, right? First and last. Yeah. You got to put the rent's due every day on this channel, baby. Let's go.
Let's get started jumping into it. First off, before we even begin, and based on what I saw in the chat room for this draft, there is a crap ton of trash talk already going down. They are like in this league, they are talking shit in the chat room. So we got to love that. I'm going to start off though. Jake, you at the bottom. Jake, Brock Bowers over Trey McBride in the first round. Haven't seen that often in FFPC Big Gorilla drafts. How much does that surprise you to see Bowers over McBride after the 2 seasons they had last year?
Well, I definitely wouldn't be taking Bowers that early regardless, because again, it's the same thing as last year. You're drafting him at his absolute ceiling, and I don't think there's going to be a way where he outscores Chase, Puka, Gibbs, or Bijan, or a bunch of players drafted after him. So same thing that happened last year. There's a quarterback question for him. That's someone throwing him the ball. I don't see the top, even top 10 Bowers this year. Again, because you're drafting at his ceiling, where's the upside for him to be the 1-1 in 2027? I just don't see it this year.
Mm-hmm. Coop, I believe your coworker Theo Greminger had a tweet the other day, and it was noting how in FFPC formats, Trey McBride last year would have been wide receiver 1 with the tight end premium 1.5 point format. Are you surprised? You're the tight end whisperer. We'll obviously discuss a lot of tight ends throughout. How surprised were you, seeing this first round and seeing Bowers go at the 105?
I don't think it's crazy, especially when you get into people drafting this early, people that plan to have a big portfolio. I don't think it's nuts. Just I hope that people know what the bet is they're making, right? Rule of thumb for drafting tight ends really early, take out a little note card and just write down. In tight end premium, if you're taking a tight end in the first round, you're expecting that player to not just be the tight end 1 this year. You're expecting them to have a top 5, minimum 10 all-time season at the position. And in non-tight end premium, if you're taking a tight end in the second round, that's what you need, right? In full PPR, like Brock Bowers or Trey McBride last year, incredible season, right? What, 315 PPR points or so? Guys like CeeDee Lamb, guys like Christian McCaffrey, guys like Cooper Kupp in his great season, we're talking about 400. Positional scarcity doesn't necessarily make up that difference. So when you're drafting those guys there, just know the bet you're making. And with your first round pick in any draft, you're trying to pick the number one overall flex player. That's the goal. And I usually make a big list of guys that I think can be the number one overall flex player and pick them before I take a quarterback, before I take a tight end. But in this particular format, it's entirely reasonable. Just know the bet you're making.
I want to draw your attention. Yeah, please.
Let me say two things real quick. One, Sean G with a horrible take, Bowers over Trey McBride. Two, actually, let me say three things. Two, I don't think Brock Bowers will be a top 3 tight end this year. And 3, is this the safest first round draft you've seen in the last couple of years? Like with the players going. Remember last year, the picks like 7 through 12, it was all a toss up and like, look how like safe the first round was. Like,
that's a great question. Terp, I'm Terp and then Coop, I want you to answer that. Terp, is this the safest first round you've seen in some time?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it's pretty by the book. I mean, most of these drafts early you kind of see like that. The ones I've looked at so far and watched, like you're not seeing much craziness. I think that's going to change. I think there's going to be guys that are going to get moved up. We see it every year. Hype starts coming, guys start popping off in their, padless practices and preseason and just hype surrounding them with people like Andrew Cooper and Theo hyping them up. They're going to start moving up draft boards. We see it every year. And then a guy like Jeremiah Love is a perfect example. If Jeremiah Love falls in the right lap of the draft in a couple weeks, he's going to be a 10, 11, 12 guy. The hype's going to be so high if he lands in Washington or maybe Tennessee. It's going to be, people are not going to be able to resist the temptation of taking him that high. So right now, maybe it's better to be safe, but also if you're in that like 8-9 range, getting a potential Love-Taylor combo, later on in the season, you might not see that.
Coop, what about you? I mean, I think that's a great question, Jake. I didn't even, ever factor it in. Is like, some years the first round is that back end, it's a little more all over the place. But this year, I mean, you're looking, it's a pretty comfortable, like you could feel really good wherever you get picks 1 through 12. Coop, do you feel kind of that same way?
I do. And I'll tell you, back when I first started playing this, it was much more comfy. Let me tell you, back in the golden age of like 2002, 2003, where you and your buddies got together, everybody took a running back in the first round. Every one of them got 350 touches. And if they got hurt, their backup, Larry Johnson, stepped in and got 350 touches. Like there was a time when you could just sit back and feel incredibly good about no matter who you take. In recent years, you're right. It has been dicey, but even the dicey picks this year, like a Marion Hampton, doesn't feel that bad to me. I mean, I love the scheme, right? The scheme's incredible. You look at just the fullback usage and the tight end usage, and they let Mike McDaniel build his scheme. They let him bring Alex Ingold, pack him up in the suitcase, big suitcase, and bring him over. They let them go out and get Charlie Kohler as the inline tight end, right? They're doing all those things. They went and got Tyler Biotish. I thought that was a great move because it didn't cancel out the compensatory picks they're supposed to get back, right? Like incredible moves. The offensive line is going to get healthy. Not to mention the last couple years, the two guys that have led the league in wide receiver routes from the running back are Christian McCaffrey and Devon Achane, who are both from this same exact scheme. So I don't think it's that risky. Ashton Genty as well. You're bringing in Clint Kubiak, who runs the same scheme. He's going to bring in the fullback. They roll along Rick Dennison, the tight end, the offensive line guru. Like those picks to me aren't even as risky as they should feel. So I actually love picking 10, 11, 12 and getting two of those guys in that range. One thing I'm probably not doing is what honestly Danes is doing because we love those players on paper, but do they have the juice with kind of the way the lines have been trending? Also, the quarterback situation with Minnesota, like, do those players have the juice to win you something like this? Win the whole thing, get all the bananas. It's like maybe a little safe for me.
Last year, at the end of the first round, everyone was taking Neighbors, Nico, Amon-Ra,
Brian Thomas,
BTJ, London. all of those guys had question marks besides St. Brown. Again, this year, he's a safe play. He's not going to be the wide receiver 1, but he probably will be the wide receiver 4, 5, or 6. The upside's limited, but last year everyone was like just pushing him down and down. And, I just think he's a safe play. I think Jefferson as your wide receiver 2 is great because you have the safe play with St. Brown, but running backs are going to dry out. So he's going to have to make up ground there.
He's Dane's, and again, when I say I wouldn't do that, I mean, if I did do that and start that way, like now you got to find a way to create leverage later. Like you go nice and safe early, well, shoot for the moon later. Whereas if you start with Hampton and Genty, that now you got to go and maybe build some safety in there. So you really can't criticize a build from the start until we see what happens next. Look at Acapulco though, huh? Not only does he get the banana at 7, but back-to-back tight ends and tight end premium. Ooh, lad.
Yeah, and just to clarify for anyone watching who doesn't know, the Big Gorilla contest, the 7 bananas is if you get the 7th pick multiple times in a row, there's increasing prizes. So if you get a choice in a row, you get a $125 tournament credit. 3 in a row, free main event. 4 in a row, which one person got last year, which is a free 10K, and 5 in a row, 50K, or a jungle safari.
Safari on the table still.
Yeah.
I want that safari.
Terp, I got to ask you, if I were to tell 2023 Terp that in just a couple of years, there would be 5 RB starts and just 2 wide receiver. I mean, what a shift we've had just in a couple of years back to kind of, the 2010s where, the running back heavy start. The wide receiver pissing yellow had its heyday. And obviously this isn't managed, so it's a little different. But, I mean, do you think that's going to be a defining 2026 draft trait is these teams are hammering running backs early?
Especially early, yes. But I don't think it's going to change much. I mean, how many of these guys that are getting drafted in the 3rd round receiver-wise can you see getting moved up substantially? Not many. What's going to get better with Nico Collins? What's going to get better with Pickens? What's going to get better with Olave?
Rice, if he actually is
Rice if he's on the field, yes, but
I'm surprised Rice is a 3rd round pick based on he's a walking red, cannot be more.
Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin,
Terp, I'll ask you here, bring up the Eagles. AJ Brown gets moved to the Patriots, for example. Does he move up, stay the same, or go down? Probably goes up.
I don't think he moves much, to be honest.
I think he moves. I think he gets that bump.
I think he might get a little bit of a bump, but I don't think he's going to get the bump that
May's just so much better of a quarterback than.
Can I ask you something on the Rashee Rice situation? This has probably been talked to death potentially on here, but once upon a time, the NFL did their own investigations into things, right? Mm-hmm. And we're led to believe that that's the case. With Puka Nacua, when his situation happens, and then his agent comes out and basically admits that he bit that woman and says it was just horseplay. How is he not going to get suspended? Does the NFL no longer do their own investigations? Because I've seen a bunch of guys get suspended on allegations alone. This guy's agent just said that he bit somebody. Is he not going to get suspended?
You would think so, but there hasn't been a peep about it.
And why would his agent ever say that?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Don't say anything. What you should say is nothing. But to come out and say, "Oh, it was just horseplay," what was horseplay? Did you just admit that he did that? I don't know. I am very nervous to draft Puka Nacua at 3. I understand what the upside is, but the downside is this guy gets the standard for that type of business, which is 6 games.
Maybe I'm off base here and not framing it, but there's almost just something where when Puka does something, there's just this dismissiveness of, it's just Puka being Puka. And he just has this immaturity to him, and he isn't held to the same standard. Because that dude is childishly immature.
People are treating it that way, but in this particular
one, a couple months of just what is he doing?
Historically speaking, I mean, think about Zeke Elliott. With that one, charges were dropped. There was no civil or criminal thing. And the NFL came out and said, we did our own investigation, 6 games, and we're not changing the outcome. And then Zeke came back and played really, really well. So, I mean, Puka Nacua, if he gets suspended, he could be fine. I'm just nervous that, historically speaking, when somebody admits they did something that is against the conduct policy, they get suspended.
honestly fascinating because I feel like you make a great point. No one's really even talked about it. Like when these things happen, there's always, is this going to be a concern for suspension? Like it just was kind of, again, it was just,
everyone's just like, everyone made a couple memes and then we just moved on. But like historically, like when there's definitive, or at least in the eyes of the NFL, when there's definitive proof of it, like they do something about it. So I don't know, just something to throw out there. I don't want to dwell too much on that because we're already on round 4. That was way back in round 1.
Yeah. So there's some weird builds here. Team 7, definitely a weird build and a lot of question marks. And then Team 12 taking Fannin and Aguga. That could be, I think that's still kind of weird. But then Josh Allen going in the 4th was very surprising to me for someone who could lead all of fantasy in points. I would expect him to be more in the middle of the 3rd round. So I think that's pretty good value.
Josh Allen's ADP over the last 10 days is the 208. His latest was the 304. So
so that was
a round and a half drop in this draft.
I'm not a quarterback early guy, but
it's great.
Josh
value.
Allen's there in the 4th round. You're taking him.
Yeah. Tommy Island has a team right now. Now, Garrett Wilson as your wide receiver 1 just is always stressful, but Allen loves.
Yeah, I was going to lead him to the Super Bowl. You heard Aaron Glenn today.
I did hear Aaron. Aaron Glenn is to be
clueless. Don't worry about it, dude. They're all set. He's going to take him to the promised land. So don't worry about
Garrett Wilson the ball. I'm fine with that. I don't care about any promised land.
Garrett Wilson, like guys like Garrett Wilson, Olave, or even Olave had better QB play this year. Like it feels like Terry McLaurin for all those years, right? Where McLaurin was giving you 1,000 yards no matter what, clockwork, but he's scoring 5-6 touchdowns. That's it. And then Jane Daniels shows up, he scores 13. Like these guys in Dynasty, I'm holding on because you're not going to get the right value, and I do think they're supremely talented. But I'm just nervous that Geno Smith of last year shows up. What was he? What did he finish at? QB 29.
It was
that's his ADP this year too. QB like 29. Like I don't know, it is pretty ugly, but they do kind of got nothing else.
I mean,
with Josh Allen, the bet you're making with him is that he continues to be an outlier, and I'm willing to bet on it. But you got to remember, historically speaking, QBs do not run heavily as they get to age 30 or so. In fact, age 28 or older, only 3 quarterbacks have registered over 100 carries at age 28 or older. Can you guys guess who those guys are? First, anybody?
Since what year?
Forever.
Michael Vick.
Michael Vick is one. Yep. 28 or older, 100 carries. That's it. I think that's about six a game. 6 carries a game.
How old is Lamar?
Lamar was 28 this year, but he got hurt, so he did not go on the list.
Hurts is too young.
How many are we trying to name?
3, just 3. You've already got Vic. Cam Newton is another one. Yep.
Yeah.
And Cam Newton did it at like 31 when he was on the Patriots, but then he was out of the league at 32 because his shoulder was shot.
Yeah.
Then the other one just got picked in the 4th round of this draft, Josh Allen.
Oh, wow.
So because he's 29 now. So like guys, the thing is guys have transitioned out of that. Like Russell Wilson continued to be a high-end QB into like age 29, 30, 31 without running 100 times. He just started throwing more and threw more touchdown passes. But like historically speaking, we kind of got to treat the true rushing quarterbacks like running backs. Very rarely do they just continue to run 140 times. That's insane. And you see with Lamar Jackson, man, he was hurt the entire year. I mean, it was like knee, elbow, ankle, everything. So you just got to be real careful with that.
People pointing out in the chat, Tommy Island won the early rampage in this, which is the other promotion we run instead of the standard early bird promo. If you get in here early and you're in one of the first fill 200 Big Gorilla leagues at draft, you're entered to the exclusive early rampage contest, $25,000 prize pool. Jake, I cut you off though. What were you saying?
So Andrew, I remember we were talking about Team 11 with St. Brown and Jefferson. I'm not sure what your opinion is on ETN, but had Team 11 went like Bucky or Kyron in round 4, would you like that start of St. Brown, Jefferson, ETN, and Kyron or Bucky?
So I am a little nervous for ETN, to be honest with you, because you start doing the math on what they got going on over there, and you look at Kellen Moore. He does not love throwing it to the running back. One thing he does not do is call a lot of running back screens. The Saints in 2024 called 35 running back screens, and they actually called the most passes to the running back of any team. And then he showed up, and they called 12, and they were team 24. The Eagles were team 29 in passes to the running back when he was there, only 9 screens. And Austin Eckler, the Chargers also led the league in passes to the running back. He shows up, and they fall down to 19. Like, it just – so when you – and the fact that they're coming out and saying, oh, yeah, by the way, they're telling Nick Underhill, who is one of the most trustworthy beat writers out there, they're saying, hey, oh, by the way, Alvin Kamara is going to be here.
I was going to say, you want running backs that are going to catch the football. They have Kamara, who's one of the best pass catching running. It's going to be like the Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle thing where I thought Rico Dowdle was going to be catching the passes, but he ended up just taking over the whole backfield.
I don't even think they like throwing. They don't like throwing to him anyway.
If they do, I don't see them throwing ETN as much.
Yeah, right. And the thing is, if this was like a team where Vegas is like, yeah, they're going to win 10.5 games, I would be like, yeah, whatever. I don't even care. But, it's the Saints. 7.5. What over under said at 7.5. Running is the luxury of the winning team. It does make me nervous for him. I actually do love Luther Burden though. Like, might as well go for big upside there. I expect his trajectory maybe not to be like come out and finish top 5 this year, but you look at guys in a similar situation to him that were full-time slot guys that were only part-time players, and then they became full-time players like CeeDee Lamb and JSN and Chris Godwin. All those guys gave you like second year 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns. Like that's good for wide receiver 2 territory. And I think Burden's entirely capable of that in this scheme. And he's capable of even more if he goes bonkers, like year 3 Burden could be the next Godwin or Lamb. So I don't hate that.
He's definitely a hype guy that's going to get moved up, in my opinion. Burden. Like you look at guys like that are being drafted. Burden is a guy that, I could see getting up at that 2-3 turn in some late August, September drafts with the hype that's surrounding him.
For sure. We smashed the wrong discount.
That's exactly what happened to CeeDee Lamb. So CeeDee Lamb in year 2, everyone was predicting the breakout, and he got hyped up, and then he did it, like I said, 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns. But he was going wide receiver 12 by the time he actually got there. So when he finished wide receiver 18, people were disappointed. Versus JSN, who was going like wide receiver 20-something, and his second year, everybody was excited about it. It's funny how that shapes our view of these guys and like how we determine whether they're good or not. Like, Marvin Harrison Jr. had a good rookie year, but he was picked like wide receiver 13. So we were disappointed, or 13 overall at times, so it really, you're great point, Terp, that closing line ADP for Burden might actually make 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns not a good season for this guy. But where he went in this draft, I would be okay with that.
And just I went back and checked. Before the trade of DJ Moore, Burden was going to get wide receiver 25. So we're already seeing that, moving up and up and up. What was Sean Juice Jake? I just display it. You're buying the room dip.
Yeah, I like that. I like that take.
Okay. Jake, speaking of your takes, you had 2 last year that you've been very proud of, rightfully so, which was you faded Ladd at his price point. And he led the Swifties, the DeAndre Swifties, of course. I wanted to ask you, just now looking at them in 2026, Swift still kind of going, at the 5.12, kind of that 5.6 turn. Ladd goes here at round 4. I want to focus on Ladd first. Are you more comfortable now with Mike McDaniel taking Ladd at this discounted price point, or do you think that rookie year is going to be the best Ladd we'll see in his fantasy career, let's say?
Well, they don't have Keenan anymore, right?
Not yet.
Not as of yet.
Until Keenan shows up before
if they don't have Keenan, I'm fine with Ladd, because that means Ladd will most likely be full-time slot. My issue last year was they had Keenan Allen, and people were so like, oh yeah, he's old, blah blah blah. He got the targets. People were still drafting him, and that's why I faded Ladd. But if they don't have Keenan, I'll be all in on Ladd, and I'll take that round 4 discount.
Keenan Allen coming back makes no goddamn sense for what
I
this
agree.
team does. Like they use the fullback, they use 2 tight ends. They went out and got another tight end to be the inline tight end, be their Julian Love, their Luke Farrell, right? Their their inline guy at best, maybe like what AJ Barner was, but like even everyone that does this scheme, Shanahan, Kubiak, McDaniel, Bobby Slowick, they all use 2 wide receiver sets. This team is already in my opinion, they should trade Quentin Johnston because before they pick up the 5th-year option and just go with the two wide receivers with McConkey and Trey Harris. I mean, I know teams or they can sign Juwan Jennings after the draft when it won't count a comp pick. Like, I don't understand why they would add Keenan Allen to a room that already has too many wide receivers for what they do. But Keenan Allen is saying he's coming back. He's been telling people, he's like, yeah, I expect to be back. So that really doesn't make any sense for me. Whoever the top 2 wide receivers on that team are going to be in a very good spot. And whoever the wide receiver 3 is going to be in a bad one.
Coop, I time travel and tell you at this, not even this time last year, September of last year, that Parker Washington would be getting drafted before Brian Thomas in 2026 early drafts. What would that reaction be?
I would say you're outside of your mind, son. And then you put that in the intro. Like that should go in the intro. But it's not crazy. It's not crazy because of what we know. Like, and I don't even blame Brian Thomas Jr. I actually feel bad for him because the scheme that they run over there that they did for years, like Sean McVay does it too now. Sean McVay uses the big split end, and then the slot flanker gets all the fun stuff, right? Devontae Adams has to do the fist fighting on the outside. The slot flanker gets all the good stuff. And then Liam Cohen was doing that with Mike Evans on the outside and Chris Godwin. And then he came to the Jaguars and he said, hey, you got to be Devontae Adams, Mike Evans. And you got to play all the way out wide, and you got to play split end, tethered to the line, facing the top corner every week. And a lot of these guys, Christian Gonzalez, Sauce Gardner, they don't go in the slot. And you got to play the hardest role. And by the way, while you do that, we're just going to throw it to these other guys underneath. So, like, just go do whatever you're going to do. Like, put in a terrible situation for his skill set. I was truly hoping that they would draft somebody like Jaden Higgins, and then Brian Thomas would get that slot flanker role. They didn't do it. So, I mean, for the time being, he's basically got to figure that out. He's got to figure out how to be a true alpha X wide receiver because that's his job now.
Catching the ball. Yeah.
Catching the ball would help. Catching the ball would be a big first step in that.
Terp, I want to go back to round 5 real quick. Which rookie, former sophomore year running back coming off a major injury do you trust more in this 5th round ADP? Quinshon Judkins or Cam Scatterbo drafted back-to-back?
I mean, can I say neither?
Yes.
If I had to pick one,
March 31st, you can have that out.
It would probably be Judkins by a little bit. I mean, the questions of Scatterbo, especially in a draft just like this, with the unknown of Jeremiah Love, maybe he gets drafted there. It seems like it could be a little. I mean, the injury that Scatterbo had is no joke. Same thing with Judkins. I mean, I'm probably off both of them right now where they're being drafted. But if I had a pick, I guess I would lean Judkins a little bit just because to me there's less mouths to feed there. I mean, Tyrone Tracy's not going anywhere. If they draft Love, Scatterbo is pretty much worthless. So if I had a pick, it would be Judkins, but it's not saying any confidence on March 31st.
You didn't hear, Terp? Every guy that got hurt last year is going to be just fine.
Everybody says that, and they're getting drafted accordingly. And like, hey, Cam Scatterbo was, people are saying George Kittle's going to be fine, and
George Kittle's been saying he's going to be fine, and I don't believe it. Dude.
And if anybody can be fine, let's be serious. It's definitely George Kittle, but
right, he's a freak. But they were like, you're going to be back by November. He goes way before that. It's like way before that. That's the season. You know what I mean? It's like these guys are crazy, dude.
Did you see
what happened was on backwards?
Did you see what happened to Kittle's brother-in-law?
No.
Kittle's brother-in-law is Cody Ponce, the Blue Jays pitcher who blew out his knee in his debut for the Blue Jays. So there's a little bad. If you're believing cross sport bad juju, there's something going on.
He went to too many 49ers games, bro. Too close to that substation.
Yeah. Jake, Team 2 is doing a perfect segue to something that you wanted to talk about. Jake gave me one thing he wanted to talk about on this stream. I was like, hey, if there's anything. He said, I want to talk about the Cardinals offense. Team 2 goes Michael Wilson and Tyler Algier back-to-back. Jake, floor is yours. Cardinals offense. I have no idea where you're going to go with this, if it's positive or negative.
I think there's a lot of, like question marks with the receiving options. Last year, Michael Wilson was a beast when Harrison didn't play, right? And then when Harrison was on the field, the splits were completely different. And now you add Trey McBride into the mix. So you have Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, right? And then the running game, it's just you have Algier, James Conner. Benson's probably toast at this point, but I would assume Algier would be the early down back and Conner would be the third down back, but I guess we don't know yet. I feel like Algier might be a little better between the tackles as of right now, but it just seems like there's a lot of question marks with that offense aside from Trey McBride.
Terp, where are you at with the Cardinals offense? They wrote, the Jacoby Brissett, thankfully the starter, because what a fun, we'll look back in 10 years and, be telling our kids, 2025 Jacoby Brissett, Michael Wilson, let me tell you. It was just modern day Moss and Brady.
You know where I stand with Michael Wilson. He'll always have a special place in my heart. He won us a lot of money last year. Love the man. Literally, nobody saw that coming. Nobody. You can sit here and say you like Michael Wilson as a player. Even when Marvin Harrison got, banged up, nobody saw that Michael Wilson, he was wide receiver 1 for how many weeks after he got
enough.
And
more
Steve making a little comment in the chat.
Enough.
Steve G is the Michael Wilson whisperer. But back to the Cardinals, I agree with Jake. There's just a lot. I love Algier. Algier is probably my favorite guy to draft. Non-Trey
Adam Holland in the chat. Agreed. Yeah.
Non-Trey McBride. He's my favorite guy to draft because I think he's just going to be the guy. I don't trust James Conner. Like he said, Trey Benson's pretty much gone. But Michael Wilson, it was great and awesome, but Marvin Harrison's still there. He's not going.
I looked this up quickly. With Harrison on the field, Wilson averaged 2.7 catches, 34 yards, and 0.25 touchdowns. Without him on the field, he averaged 10 catches and 125 yards.
It was not great. And
it's really.
Also, we all love Jacoby Brissett. It was a great story last year. It was great. Put a lot of money in our pockets. But it's still Jacoby Brissett.
I pulled those same numbers. And then, of course, somebody in my replies was like, what about the games with Jacoby Brissett? So I had to go and pull those numbers as well. And everything Jake's saying is 100% true. Right. 66 targets for Marvin Harrison, 39 for Michael Wilson when they played together. Every category, Marv was better. Receptions, yards, touchdowns. In the games with just Jacoby Brissett, with both of them playing, Marv was still better. 35 targets, 18 catches, 256 yards, 2 touchdowns. Michael Wilson, 22 targets, 13 catches, 171 yards, 0 touchdowns. Only 13 catches in the games where Jacoby started, and the 2 of them were out there. Marv is just better in a vacuum, in any, no matter where you put them, on the playground, on the street. He's just going to be the focal point over Michael Wilson. I think there's a world where Terp could be right, where both of them are just kind of diluting each other, and it's just not worth our time.
And McBride is the beast.
Because McBride's a beast, dude. And I also worry a little bit about McBride, and people don't want to hear it, but they have to hear it because I'm the special guest. So they're gonna have to listen to this. But Kyler Murray, yes, he did scramble all over the place all day long, and that's what people know him for. But what they don't realize is that he also was a top 3 quarterback back-to-back years and getting the ball out of his hands in under 2.5 seconds.
Oh yeah, Merchant.
Not even check, because with check downs, you're almost waiting and checking it down. Mm-hmm. This guy was taking shotgun snaps and just kind of shovel passing it right to McBride, right to James Conner. Go to Fantasy Points data suite and look at the guys getting the ball out of their hands in under 2 seconds. It was basically Kyler, Tua, and Phillip Rivers. You know what I mean? He just gets the ball very quickly, first read. That big time benefits Trey McBride, but Jacoby Brissett, for as fun as he was for fantasy, he went 1-11, right? Whatever they were doing was bad. They don't want to repeat that. And I think that's going to lean into finding a quarterback who can get through the read progressions and actually throw it to a second read. you watch Joe Burrow play. You know how many times Mike Gesicki is open? All the time. But he's not just throwing it right away to whoever's right there. He trusts the scheme. He trusts Jamar Chase. He trusts that T. Higgins on the second move is going to get open. And he holds onto the ball and he gets through the reads and he makes the right play. That's the difference between guys like Kyler and guys like Joe Burrow. And like Trey McBride's been a massive beneficiary of that. But for them to keep doing that and keep losing and getting like the 4th pick in the draft is literal insanity.
I agree with you, and I think this is like a bridge year for the Cardinals. But if Brissett's on the field, McBride is a tight end 1 every week. I mean,
just more of the same thing, yeah, for sure.
14 games, 108 receptions, 1,083 yards, 10 touchdowns. He was a beast. But one thing I want to bring up is the George Pickens. Obviously, Terp, I know you're huge on Pickens. He won you a lot of money last year as well.
Terp loves the Cowboys. Like,
but the
it's
Pickens
crazy.
Just in fantasy.
It doesn't make sense for an Eagles fan.
Pickens with Lamb healthy on the field averaged 3.8 catches, 62 yards, and 0.25 touchdowns. That's probably around like 10 or 11 points. So,
and the Cowboys were also in shootouts and down.
Right, exactly. And with Lamb back going like healthy going into the year, is what did Pickens went wide receiver 9 in the 10 in this? Is that too rich, or what do you guys think about that?
No, I think that Cowboys offense is going to still throw a ton, and you're also, I mean, that running game is still banking on that Javonte resurgence, which we saw.
Do you worry about the Dak Prescott every other year thing?
Oh, I am a man of superstition. I did not factor that in.
Matt Ryan special, dude. Matt Ryan did that his whole career, right? Every other year.
If the Cowboys don't get it done this year, at what point do you move on from Dak? I mean, it's getting,
I mean, it's been past time, but that's
I know. But
Pickens also stayed healthy last year. He hasn't been in Pittsburgh. He wasn't the picture of health.
Let me say this, right? This is something that we've been calling the fantasy football arbitrage over at Fantasy Alarm for the last couple of years, the little triangular arbitrage, where we would look at it and you would see you would see Jamar Chase go in the 1st round, T. Higgins go in the 3rd round, and then Joe Burrow goes in like the 6th round. In the same draft last year, Puka Nacua goes in the 1st round, Devontae Adams goes in the 3rd or 4th round, and then Matthew Stafford goes QB 24. Right. So the way I look at it is this: like, if CeeDee Lamb's going to go in the 1st round and George Pickens is going to go in the 3rd round, either one of those 2 picks is terrible, or Dak Prescott could potentially be this year's Matthew Stafford, like, face ripper. He's got Jake Ferguson too, who's obviously super slow and clunky, and we don't love him. But like he could legitimately come out and lead the league in passing yards, something that he's obviously been he's been close to doing multiple times.
No stranger to sniffing around.
Right. Exactly. It's like you don't even have to stack to recognize it and say, like, okay, if this is how we're valuing these players, what if those ADPs are right? If those ADPs are actually right, then the Dak Prescott ADP needs to be higher than QB 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever it is.
Crazy. Yeah. I mean,
so something to keep in mind on that front, because I don't think it's entirely crazy to go out and have him do that. And also in that front, Javonte Williams can fall backwards into 15 touchdowns.
Yeah. Coop, you just had an article published today on Fantasy Alarm, and you were talking about the best landing spots for rookie receivers, and you broke it down by the X position, slot, field stretcher. I mean, you got in there. I clicked on this article just expecting, the basic, and you're breaking it down by position, the scheme. I mean, that's why you're the man. So the rookies are kind of going off the board. I want you to, giving you a little soapbox to, pump up this article, but also kind of talk about, as these receivers, we've seen Mekhi Lemon go, Cardinal Tate, assuming Jordan Tyson's going to go soon. Can you kind of talk about where fantasy players should be, what they should be watching for when it comes to receiver landing spots in this draft?
Yeah, and as I appreciate, dude, the intro there and actually talking about what the article is, because I think a lot of people are so accustomed to like clicking an article and then it's just 500 words and 3 teams where it's like, this team could use a wide receiver because they don't have any, this article, I do go in and every year, like, break down the different roles and what they are, right? Because the role that Mike Evans has played for years as a big split end and X is so very different than the role that Josh Downs plays, or like So I break it down. Wanda Robinson, dude, you know what's crazy? Wanda Robinson was in my mind, and then I picked somebody different. I don't know why, but you got the mind meld, man.
Yeah.
But so you go in. What I did is basically for our rankings in pre-draft, I always categorize these guys into what I think they're going to be at the next level. Like you look at Denzel Boston, he's a split end. He plays 80% of his snaps out wide. He's good at beating the jam. He plays guys up front. That's what he does. You look at Mekhi Lemon, he's played over 75% of his snaps in the slot. Like, we want him to be a slot flanker that does both, but he could start out as just a slot guy like JSN. And then what I do is I look around at what the teams actually have on their roster now, right? Like, if you were the Falcons and you have Drake London, you don't need another split end. You need a slot flanker, right? Or maybe even just a field stretcher to replace Darnell Mooney. But, like, you don't need another Drake London. You already got one. And it wouldn't be conducive to fitting the scheme. So I go through and I say, hey, here's the kind of teams that could use these different kinds of players. And I even give credence to the field stretchers and say, hey, you know what? If you got a field stretcher like a Chris Brazel or whatever, like put them on a team like the Raiders, where Clint Kubiak has a history of using 2 wide receiver sets, where JSN just led the league in 40-plus yard receptions, where 2023, when he was a pass game coordinator for the 49ers, Brock Purdy had the highest yards per attempt season of all time. Like, while we're fantasy wishing, let's get it exactly right so we can be even more disappointed when the draft comes. So that's what this article is all about, right? It's like just going out and saying, like, where would the perfect fit be for this particular type of player to maximize the fantasy upside? And then that way, when you do a big gorilla and you go out and you take, somebody like Omar Cooper Jr., now you can sit back and say, please, please, please go to the Patriots to replace Stephon Diggs, where you can get 130 targets. Like, it just makes the draft that much more fun when you know where you're rooting for the guys to go, and then maybe 1 or 2 does go to a good spot. It could happen.
And it's, and again, I recommend everyone go read the article. It's free. But even you make a point, like, sure, like, obviously they're going to be pretty terrible this year, but the Dolphins have no pass catchers. Like, you would want one of these top guys to go to Miami because they're going to get peppered with targets. So it's really, really interesting article. It's good, and we'll talk about the rookie receivers as they keep going. As I did not mean to do that, but looking at the draft, Terp, I want to go you, then I'm going to go to Jake, and then Coop will come back to you to finish it off as a tight end whisper of sorts. Round 8, 5 tight ends off the board. We'll even include Jake Ferguson, first pick of the 9th round in this. So Likely kicks us off. Then the intriguing rookie out of Oregon, Kenyon Sadiq, Arande Gadsden, who popped off out of nowhere. But, the deep was in the trenches in the offseason. There were people hyping up Arande Gadsden, and they delivered. George Kittle off of the Achilles, Dalton Kincaid, perennial bad knee. And we already talked about slow Jake Ferguson. Terp, out of those names, which tight end are you most targeting in these mid rounds?
Probably Gadsden. Isaiah Likely, I like the player a lot. Don't love where he ended up. Theo Johnson's going to be annoying. Neighbors. I just seemed like there was a better spot for Likely. Sadiq, like the player, rookie tight end. A lot of questions potentially there. He could get into a bad landing spot and be a pretty much wash. I already talked about Kittle. There's nothing to talk about there. Love Kittle. One of my favorite players in football. But, you're taking him in the 8th round. Like, that's just way, way too rich for my blood. Way, I think. If you're telling me I'm getting Kittle in, like, the 16th round or 15th round, okay, whatever. Like, fine. Let's do it. Let's just sit him on the bench until the playoff weeks and then hope for the best. And Kincaid, I like Kincaid. Kincaid, but Dawson Knox still there, still annoying. I don't know if I can get behind, Kincaid as the guy. He'd be second on my list if I had a pick. It would probably be Gadsden, Kincaid, and I guess Likely, but don't really love anybody besides Gadsden.
All right, Jake.
I like the upside of Likely. I feel like Harbaugh went and got him for a reason, and I'm looking up some stats right now. It looks like Dart, if he played a full season, roughly like 18 to 20% of his passes would have went to tight end, which isn't bad. I do agree that Theo Johnson could be annoying. Sadiq, obviously, it depends where it lands. Kittle's coming off an injury. I'm all set with Kincaid as long as Knox there, and I'm pretty sure they just re-signed Knox. That's a headache. In best ball for sure, though. I do like Ferguson though. I just like, the offense, but I'd probably say out of all these guys, I like Ferguson the best, just based off of the construction of the offenses in previous years.
Coop, what are you feeling about those names?
The problem that I run into with Likely and Ferguson is the lack of high end speed, right? Those guys do need to get peppered with targets because they both run 4.8s, right? Jake Ferguson actually last year was the first guy to finish top 5 while running a 4.8 or slower since Heath Miller back in 2000.
Yeah, the great name. Great name. Love Heath Miller.
Yeah.
So white.
Yeah. I remember watching Steelers versus Ravens games when it was Heath Miller and Todd Heap, and the crowd the entire game was just Heath. It was just a chorus of that stuff. But Jake Ferguson, go and look at what he did last year, and he obviously needed CeeDee Lamb to get hurt to do it. 100 targets, only 600 yards. That to me is just I just like a little more upside. In tight end premium, though, to Jake's point, as long as the targets are there, it kind of cures all. Isaiah Likely, too, really, he's got the basketball wiggle, but he's not fast. He's actually pretty slow. I love Gadsden. If Gadsden can survive, if he can make it through the Kessel run of the next month or so, which includes the draft and also includes, annoyingly, Darren Waller and Jonnu Smith still floating around out there, right? Because those guys played for McDaniel, right?
Yep.
But Mike McDaniel, he used Darren Waller and Jonnu Smith. He had them running 70% of their routes from a wide receiver spot, not just in the slot, but also split all the way out wide, especially in the red area. You saw Waller, this situation where they're bringing in Charlie Kohler and they're bringing in the fullback, and they're probably going to use a lot of 2 tight end sets. That could be incredible for Gadsden. I mean, it really could. The guy's a converted wide receiver himself, so could be huge for him.
So, Andrew, you might have more knowledge on this than me, but how are tight ends usually in the Greg Roman offense? Are they good, or is it a low volume tight end offense? Or
In Greg Roman? Yeah. So I mean, with Roman, he had the top 3 tight end season of all time for Mark Andrews, right? It's he
but
was
with.
when he was with
Was he
no, when he was with the 49ers, Verdon Davis had some really good years too. Roman's another guy who doesn't like throwing to the running back. He likes throwing to the tight ends, and he'll use the tight end screens and all that. So Roman's no problem for the tight end. And with Likely, the biggest thing for him is this draft, because they've been rumored to be a team that could that might go after a split end. Because a very popular setup in the league these days is to have a big split end and then to have your best wide receiver play slot for 3 wide receiver sets and flanker for 2. That's what you see with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua. We saw it for years with Evans and Godwin. Teams are basically saying, move Malik Neighbors into that Jamar Chase role, draft a Carnell Tate or a Denzel Boston or a Chris Bell or whoever, and that would obviously hurt Likely. What would hurt Likely even more is if they kept Neighbors on the outside and drafted a Mekhi Lemon. If you're a Likely fan, you just need them to stay away from drafting a wide receiver, which the rumors are out there. But there's also the Jeremiah Love rumors. So Likely is a guy where I'm much more likely to draft him after the NFL draft than I am right now. But if he gets through the draft, I probably will be interested, because the guy, he's done all the right things. He says all the right things. Harbaugh loves him. And then I got Kelsey, who, quietly was tight end 3 last year, and nobody likes to admit it.
It's crazy. It was crazy how we just got there.
I like the value of Mark Andrews in round 10.
I was about to say, you were in on Andrews in previous years as underrated, and now it's dropping, but Likely is gone. Lamar's still there, good target.
One guy I'm not drafting that just went is Dallas Goedert. I don't mean to. I like, the thing is, I love the rest of the a lot of the picks the team 1 made. I love Drake May. I love Javonte Williams. But Goedert, talk about a guy they don't want him around. I'm injury agnostic, right? So I don't go into a year and say this guy will probably get hurt. If a guy is currently hurt while I'm drafting, I will factor that in. Yeah. But I don't like to play I don't like to play Dr. Fortune Teller and try and guess who's going to get hurt. But if I was going to guess who's going to get hurt, it would be the guy who's been hurt literally every year since his rookie year, and that's Dallas Goedert. Like, the guy's been hurt every year. He's the third fiddle on his own team. They literally 2 years in a row now have been like, we don't want you here, but yeah, I guess you need to come back or whatever.
So if they got rid of AJ Brown, would you like Goddard? Because his stats when AJ Brown were hurt were significantly, but they were better.
Absolutely.
5.6 catches.
He was a legit,
no question,
legit
69.2 yards. Yeah, so like he's
no
averaging.
Question.
He had a good year last year.
Because he got 11 touchdowns, right? But
with AJ Brown, he's undraftable.
Yes, with AJ Brown gone though, now you're cooking.
Which that's why these drafts.
Same thing. If the Cowboys said, "Hey, to Pickens," if they said, "Hey, we're actually not going to give you a deal. What we're going to do is going to trade you on the franchise tag," which many players have been traded on the franchise tag in the past, then I would love Jake Ferguson, because we love Jake Ferguson when he's the top 2 target on the team. Yeah. When he's the 3rd target on the team, you're threading a pretty crazy needle. It's very rare to have 3 guys on the same team all get 100 targets. It happens under 5% of the time. So
I think Goddard would be someone I would take in best ball if Brown's still there, but if Brown's gone, I would be actively looking to draft Goddard, especially if he.
That. Yeah, I think that's best ball changes the landscape. It papers over so many of the warts. And tight end touchdown dependent guys are great in best ball. You know what I mean? Like George Kittle. George Kittle is part of a best ball team where you're drafting 3 tight ends, and he's got this history of like scoring touchdowns and having 40+ yard chunk plays. Like, totally changes my view on Kittle and a lot of these guys.
Obviously the question is, speaking of like, fortune telling, predicting injuries, and I get maybe that's the reason, but why is J.K. Dobbins going 3 rounds after R.J. Harvey when we saw what that backfield was going to look like when they were both healthy?
At the end of the day, I just don't trust Sean Payton. And that was a statement that was on last year. I didn't trust him. I mean, you saw J.K. Dobbins, have, serviceable till he got hurt. But then R.J. Harvey, it seems like they don't love him. Like, there's talk about
why is he a 6th-round pick? Like, that's crazy.
I don't Payton, who doesn't trust Harvey.
He clearly doesn't trust him. He didn't trust him last year. They were putting even when there was injuries, you still had that. They didn't really actually believe in Harvey. I don't know.
I was all over Harvey last year, and people came to me when he started scoring all the touchdowns and were like, "We did it," and I was like, "No, we didn't. We didn't do it. We didn't do it."
I'd love to be with you here, but I hate.
I was like, "We didn't do it. We got lucky, right? It's like we kind of got lucky here a little bit, but like we did not do it. We were wrong." Terp is right. Sean Payton is a jerk. I will straight up say that.
I hate that guy.
He's the worst. It's like making the GM look so stupid too. It's like you draft a 24-year-old running back and you don't even use him. It's like, dude, what's the matter?
And a guy who flashed. Like, it wasn't like Harvey was terrible. Like, it wasn't like he was just like totally clueless out there. Like, he looked the part.
He's an ego guy, and the thing is, ego works a lot of times. It does, but at the same time, like, you also just got to put your best players on the field and just let them play sometimes. And he falls in love. If you end up in his doghouse, you're done.
There's Marvin Mims, the rare exception. Marvin Mims somehow broke out of the Sean Payton doghouse, which is maybe the first time I've ever seen.
Greg Dulcich was buried under the
doghouse.
The third game, in the third game that year, he got a full workload and had 3 drops. And it's just bones under the doghouse.
Jimmy Hoffa.
Jimmy Hoffa, yeah. He's in a better place.
What do you guys think about Team 4? I was just looking at the teams, and I think that's by far my favorite team in this draft.
Scroll up, Aidan.
I need to scroll. Yeah.
It's okay.
I think it's. I like it a lot, except for one facet, which is that. Historically speaking, in these contests, I've gone back and looked at some data. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't incorporated last year's into it yet because it's March. But not a lot of teams that draft 2 quarterbacks before that draft 2 quarterbacks before the 13th or so round have had success in these big tournaments. Like,
he didn't draft 2.
Wait, where is his second quarterback?
I was looking at Team 3. I was looking at Lamar Jackson and Dart.
No.
That's why I need the highlighted part. Yeah. I already looked quickly and then shut my eyes. So let me open them again. Oh yeah, no, this team's great. What don't you like about that team, Terp?
How
I'm
worried
not
are
the
we
biggest
about
Bucky Irving guy.
I know
I
fourth
like that. I
round.
mean, it's okay.
I am
don't
nervous
love-
about Bucky
I don't
Irving.
love the running backs after Burrow.
I hate what they did. What did they
Oh,
do?
I like the running backs after.
Yeah, see, I
No,
like
not him. I hate what the Buccaneers did. Why are they paying Kenneth Gainwell to be a more expensive
Gainwell,
Rashad
Tucker,
White?
like
And Tucker's back.
so.
Is Bucky mentally okay?
Nobody wanted Tucker. That's the thing. They dangled Tucker out there and like the RFA deal and all that. Nobody wanted it. But like
JCM could be a value if they don't take Love. I mean, it's probably the best pick you can make right now, I guess.
Yeah.
But like all signs point to Love.
His pass upside's limited because of Rashad White.
Yeah.
But Bucky, with me saying I like Team 4, my absolute steaming hot take for this year is
You're
Kenneth
dropping it
Gainwell
up
already.
March 31st. Jesus Christ.
That's rich, man.
Whoa. Let him say this so we can clip it.
That's rich.
This is my steaming hot take that Kenneth Gainwell outscores Bucky Irving.
That's rich, man.
Well, then Bucky Irving medically retires.
March
and then
3rd.
you win.
Steaming hot take.
Are you saying they both play this season?
Yeah.
2 year. I mean, they let Rashad White walk, who was in that Bucky Irving role, and Rashad White got 1 year, $2 million. I know he basically called Todd Bowles a bonehead and said he shouldn't be calling defensive plays, and he did a bunch of weird stuff on his way out the door. But 2 years, $14 million for Gainwell. Like they looked at Rashad White and said, "We need extra Gainwell." What?
I love a chat. One response, not even that hot a take, TBH.
Okay.
Followed by whatever he's smoking. Pass it this way.
Yes, dude. That is that's both ends of the spectrum in fantasy there.
Yeah.
How many catches do you guys think Gainwell had in 2025 without looking?
Guaranteed
93.
How many?
93.
That's way too many.
This is crazy.
No, take a realistic guess.
He was, I think he was
Wait.
right around the top 5.
17.
62.
3 divided by what
was it?
I'm gonna go
73.
73. So that's top 5 easily then for the position. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and he looked for
my jokingly 93 was not as
right.
It wasn't crazy. Yeah, it wasn't crazy.
Last year. And I mean, granted, he did have Rodgers who dumps the ball off lots of running backs, but they got him for a reason and they paid him. They paid him to be more than a backup running back.
Makes me nervous, and it annoys me because Bucky is a good pass catcher. Like he was the best pass catcher from that
class.
class.
But they just don't believe in him.
They don't want to do that. Yeah.
No.
And the index of suspicion, I think the guaranteed on Gainwell was around $9 million. I think they can get out next year with only $3 million in dead cap. I do know that, but like he definitely chased the money. Like if he wanted to get a better role, he wouldn't have gone there, right? That's obvious.
Team 1 just made up for the Ferguson got it with Eli Stowers, by the way. When Eli Stowers goes round 2, maybe not this year. When Eli Stowers goes round 2 to Kansas City,
I think early on, Team 9 might be my favorite.
We didn't even talk about Kenyon Sadiq. I just feel as though the way rookie tight ends have been performing over the last couple of years. I mean, for so many years, we had this idea of like early rookie tight ends aren't successful, and that's been completely broken the mold. I mean, last year, insane. Fadden, Gadsden, we obviously Bowers, Laporta. It's been. I feel like I'm missing someone from last year too. But Tyler Warren.
Yeah, Warren Loveland, Fannin, Gadsden. Yeah.
Like Kenyon Sadiq is a monster, and he was great at Oregon. He just didn't have a ton of touches. I think his landing spot is going to be one of the most interesting in the draft, depending on what scheme he goes into, because his ADP is all over the place. But I'm very intrigued to see where he goes, and I'm very intrigued to see
definitely
where
be waiting on tight ends this year. Again.
This has been my biggest. I can't resist it. This is literally like when you like set up one of those traps for birds and they just keep falling into it over and over and over again. And that's anybody that's built like Evan Engram. I'm just in. So I'm ready to get.
Kryptonite, man. That's
Kryptonite. I know, dude. I look at
the Evan Engram whispers.
I look at Kenyon Sadiq. I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, we got another one. We are in huge trouble. If somebody's going to use him wrong, he's going to come out and he's not polished. He didn't have a ton of a lot of production, but like he's fast. He's basically built like This guy's built like Andre Johnson. Like his best comparable player is probably closer to Andre Johnson than it is to any real tight end, right?
I just
I mean, if you
whenever
look at it-
whenever I think of busts like that, I just think of like remember OJ Howard. Loved it.
He's so much faster than OJ Howard, dude.
I know, not comparing them, but just like the random names. But because I've been seeing
It's
Sadiq
not.
Mosley
You know what?
a lot.
You know what? It's not a random name. It's actually a guy to mention in this category, and I choose to ignore it.
Fair. Stowers, I think, is even more athletic than Sadiq, which is crazy too, by the way.
Round 13, Aaron Jones.
No thanks.
I'm going to say something. Round 11, Emmanuel Wilson. You think he survives the draft?
Even if he doesn't, he's still going to be like. I always say with guys like at the 11th, like if you can piece together some weeks with Emmanuel Wilson, you're
Andre
fine.
Johnson, 6'3", 229, so 6'3", 230, ran a 4.41. Kenyon Sadiq, 6'3", 240, ran a 4.39. Like this guy's a freak, man. He could play split. Like you just got to teach him how to actually play football. You know, like he's a great block. He actually is a great blocker for what he does. But I get nervous that like, why didn't this guy come out and have 1,200 yards? Why is Harold Fannin doing that? I know it's a different, easier division, but like, why didn't he have the Brock Bowers year when he on paper is that kind of on paper he's the best physical specimen tight end since Vernon Davis, right?
Yeah, and
So,
also concerning because that it wasn't like Oregon rode their running game. Their running game wasn't great. So valid questions. Also, I just want to say, in all my years, I never would have ever thought that a kicker could get drafted in round 10 and we just are like, yeah, like that's okay. Like we move on and not like mock the pick because Brandon Aubrey's that guy.
I'm still not doing it, but I get it.
No, like you got to get
Again, though, based on the info I've pulled for FFPC, drafting a kicker in defense this early has just historically not been a good move.
Yeah,
You're
I
just
can
not
at least understand it. While in years past, like, what are you doing?
It's just with drafting
defense, never, ever,
never.
Aubrey as a single outlier, okay.
At 10,
I'm not doing it, but
no
defense.
I think when you go and look at the teams that finish top 10 in these big tournaments, main events, and Great Big Gorilla, like a lot of them have Aubrey, but they didn't take Aubrey in the 10th. They took Aubrey in the 15th.
Correct.
And a lot of these
Aubrey
teams
wasn't even the number one kicker. He wasn't even the top two kicker last year. He was the third.
Right.
It was Myers. Who was second, Jake?
Fairbairn, Aubrey, Dicker, Cam Little.
And a lot of these teams have two great quarterbacks, but then you look and they didn't take two quarterbacks before the 14th round. They took like Baker Mayfield or somebody late, you know? The crazy thing about Aubrey is that dude, did you ever hear his story?
Yeah.
Like
He was a soccer player.
He took a job selling medical equipment and like
I think his wife just told him like you could do that.
Yeah, go do it. He's like, he called his job and was like, I need to push back my start date by like 2 weeks because I got to go do something. And then he had to call them back after and be like, oh, I'm actually not going to work for you guys because I'm the kicker for the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, no, he went to the XFL first.
Oh, was it the XFL before the? No, I think he gave up. I think he had given up on the XFL and he accepted that job.
Something like that.
Yeah, because I know he had accepted a job. Like
I know he was 1 year in the
good
XFL
job.
or UFL.
So Andrew,
I like how Jake calls you your government name.
That's
He's
right.
always Coop. He's always answering.
Jake, you can call me. We're friends now. You can call me Coop if you want. Or
So
you call me
you
Andrew
like
if you want.
you like McBride with Kyler Murray, correct?
Yeah.
So do you like if Kyler Murray is a starter for Minnesota, which I'm assuming he will be? Do you like Hawkinson with Kyler?
I do. I tweeted about it, and I do think it's good news for Hawkinson. I think it's bad news for Jordan Addison because
I agree.
Addison's going to be running those. Where Kyler has the blind spot is on the second reads, which the crazy part about it was when you look at his numbers throwing to the second read, they're actually good. It's just he doesn't get to that spot because he either throws to the first read or he scrambles and the play breaks down. So he's oftentimes throwing it to the first read or he's throwing it to the somebody that's just out of pocket, out of structure, right? So he's just finding somebody downfield, which that's fine for Jefferson because Jefferson's going to be first read on a ton of plays. And it's fine for Hawkinson. Hawkinson's going to be floating around really close. it's the guys that are running those intermediate to deeper routes that are the second and third reads or potentially like a backside post. He doesn't ever get to those plays.
Correct
So
me
you
if I'm
don't like
wrong, but
Addison?
I don't like Addison. No,
I don't either. I'm pretty sure when
Yeah.
Kyler first came in the league, again, I could be wrong. He did have a good deep ball. Like when he had Hollywood Brown, I'm pretty sure they had a good like deep
Kyler
ball.
still has a great
those
deep ball.
he has a good deep ball when he throws it, but a lot of those throws are like designed for that play. Like
Right.
it's designed to throw to that guy. It's coming off play action, and that is still the first read. Or a lot of those deep balls are out of structure where he's scrambling. Right. And it's like, okay, somebody move around, like the Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill play, Tyreek Hill down there somewhere. Like a lot of that. It's not a lot of like, okay, we're going to split the field in half, and I'm going to recognize that they're in palms, and that's going to tell me that the out is going to be not open, but the guy running the slant and go on the the secondary part of the route at 5 seconds, the fifth step into my drop, that's going to be there. He's not doing that. That's the problem. And that's the thing with Addison is that Addison's not really a first read guy. He's more of like, he's the guy that runs the deep crosser or the dig, where it's like, you got to actually understand the plays and you got to stay in the pocket and throw it.
So we'll leave Addison to best ball.
Yeah. Addison also came on our show. This aired, so like I have no problem saying this. I don't know if he was just not interested in talking to us, but not the sharpest tool in the shed. Like
I think I could have told you that just based on his history.
At one point we asked him, we were like, what would your walk-up song be if you played baseball? And he's like, what's that? And we were like you in baseball, you pick a song and they play it before you bat. And he goes, oh. And Howard Pender's like, so what would you pick? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, name any song.
Literally.
And he goes, what would you pick? And I was like, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know, because I was so frustrated. I was like, I don't know, dude. Like we just moved on, but I don't know. He just wasn't super interested in talking to us. You know what? He actually might be a very smart and cool guy. He just doesn't. He's cooler than us. He didn't want to talk to us.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, well,
that's fair. It is fair. It is. Fair.
I don't know. I feel we're giving him a little too much credit. Terp, I had a question for you.
Here, can I just end this by saying the worst part about it is that weekend he went out and had 3 touchdowns, and we had nothing to play from the interview.
Jordan Addison had 3 touchdowns this week. Hear him not answer a question about a walk-up song.
Here's the clip of us asking if we should start him, and he says, "Yeah."
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jordan Addison has been arrested multiple times. Was out in London. Yeah, just not. Maybe
he posted the day after his DUI. He posted a picture of a mimosa. So
Jake like that.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I wish him the best. I think he's a good football player. I just think the setup for him is not good for fantasy.
Yeah.
Terp,
I had a question for you. Manage format. DJ Moore, wide receiver 27 at the 509, or Khalil Shakir, wide receiver 60 at the 1304 or 1303, excuse me.
See, I know I might be a minority with this, but I like the DJ Moore move. I feel like DJ Moore, where he's being drafted, is a good value. And I don't see him ever getting to the point where he gets steamed up to where it's uncomfortable. People kind of hate him because of the last couple of years. Like he hasn't really put the numbers up with the hype's been surrounding. Obviously last year with Caleb Williams, very inconsistent. Justin Fields, that, whole disaster back and forth. I like DJ Moore, and I really feel like new coaching staff, if he plays that Diggs role, like you could be looking at one of the best values in fantasy football where he's being drafted. I mean, 5th round. You look at guys, I just don't see there a world where he gets steamed up, which I like. I like the safe guy that has the upside that I don't really see much downside there.
I always agree with Terp. Jake, what do you think, man? Are you in on Moore or are you out?
No, I'm definitely in on more than Shakir. I mean, Shakir has no upside. He's like, even 2024, that was his best year. I think he was like wide receiver like 37. That's like a wide receiver 3 barely, or that's actually a wide receiver 4. He just has no upside. He's a great flex play if you need a guy, but DJ Moore has legit upside in a high scoring offense with no real wide receiver 1.
People got very upset with me when I called Khalil Shakir fancy Cole Beasley.
And
He is.
I've actually retracted that. I've retracted the fancy part.
Disrespectful to Cole Beasley.
I've retracted exactly. I've retracted the fancy part. He's just Cole Beasley.
Isn't DJ Moore's best season? I mean, it was years ago. Came with Brady, I believe, or maybe one of the Bears years. But he had a good year at Carolina.
DJ Moore had a nasty season with 1,400 yards. Right, like his best season is like just shy of 1,400 yards. It was very good.
I mean, what DJ Moore was the original, at least my lifetime, of like imagine if this guy just gets a quarterback. He passed it to Terry, who passed it to Garrett Wilson. I wonder who's next. Who's
the curse originated with Andre Johnson, who's now getting his second shout out on the show.
Yeah.
Andre Johnson, Hall of Fame career without ever scoring double-digit touchdowns because his best quarterback he played with, was Matt Schaub.
You know what the best Andre Johnson highlight still to this day is? Beating Cortland Finnegan's ass.
Oh
man!
So DJ Moore literally has zero competition. Like he's going up against Coleman, who even knows what's going to happen with him. Shakir, he'll be the slot guy, but
they're not drafting anybody.
And my biggest issue with DJ Moore is like some of it's not. It doesn't feel as though his game has declined. I mean, he's getting older, but some of it's just effort, which is arguably worse. Like his effort in Chicago was kind of piss poor.
I mean, it was.
I think he
but
fits the offense.
Also, he was frustrated because
is it we need that deal.
Caleb Williams was inconsistent. It's called what it is.
We've seen guys though turn the effort off and then turn it back on. We'll remind you of a little guy named Randy Moss who was dog water
last year.
He was dog water with the Raiders. Like we thought his career was done. They traded him for a 4th-round pick to the Patriots, and he scored 23 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, DJ Moore before the season. If you want to talk about attitude, before the season, he came out and said, "By the way, I don't think I'm getting as many targets." As
it was a weird. It was a weird.
He said it. He was like, I was like, did anyone hear him say that? Like, why would he say that? Because he knew.
Which is weird because when I watched the preseason games, they were like actively trying to get him the ball. So I was kind of like, maybe he'll have a decent season. But I think he's a perfect fit for the Buffalo offense. I mean, I'm not going to compare him and Diggs, but they're not like they're similar type players. They do this, you know what I mean? They're not like strictly outside, strictly slot. Like they can move all over the field. But I think, he should have 100 targets plus.
Easily. When you spend that kind of investment, everybody in the building, and you have the not only the coach and the GM. Well, the coach got fired, but not only the GM, but the owner coming out and saying, yeah, we are trying to fix things here, and we're sorry, and we apologize for Sean McDermott drafting Keon Coleman, which is crazy that they would come out and throw him under the bus. Awful, man.
Also, and then the video leaks was like on like their like whatever inside access thing. We're like hyping up.
He's happy about it. Yeah. So like anytime that happens, like DJ Moore, they're going to give him every opportunity to make them look smart. When you spend that kind of capital, that guy's going to get the targets. Whether he does something with them is the question, but they'll be there.
I think he'll be at around 7 targets a game, which is like 120 on the year.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Have you guys seen the Keon Coleman and Cam Newton video?
No. Oh. Tell me about it.
It's just Cam Newton's podcast. It's like I forgot the quote, but it's like a TikTok edit, but it's like it's just Cam Newton just trashing Keon Coleman, but it's like a great like.
And Keon's on it.
No. Like about.
I remember a clip of Cam Newton trashing and Cam Newton and Steve Smith dogging DJ Moore back in the day, which was very funny. Where Steve Smith is like, should I start you on? Yeah, he's like, should I start you on my fantasy team? And then Steve Smith's like, nah, I'm not starting you. And he turns to Cam Newton. And Cam's like, start that other dude. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he said we're paying you. Cam Newton goes, we're paying you to be our number one, and you're playing like a bomb. And he's like, it's all nice when you want. I love cookies, and then it gets real old. Just rips it. And he has like the jumbo hat on.
Yeah, Keon Coleman's not. I mean, like he's not without blame though, because he's like missing meetings and stuff too.
No, I mean talk about not smart,
immature.
Right. That's why you love Jeremiah Love. This guy comes out and he's like, they're like, what do you do for fun? He's like, I go home and I talk to people I got to talk to. I watch a little anime, and then I get ready for work. Football is my job.
Dude, Jeremiah Love is the best player in the draft.
He's
I
the
know
man.
he's so good.
I don't
Little
believe
things,
hot
too.
takes yet. I'll have them as we go on. It's too early for a hot take. But if there was one hot take that's, I don't think crazy at all, I think by the time we draft in September in Vegas, Jeremiah Love will be getting drafted in the top 8.
Where is he going to go? Like, let's make a break because it seems as though it's a Tennessee, Giants, or Commanders. Seem like
if Tennessee still has Pollard and Spears, I just don't see them drafting Love.
Jake, when has Tennessee ever done something that makes sense?
Right. I don't know.
But if they do, there's no way he's not the guy from day one. It's Ryan Dable offense.
Well, Pollard actually looked good. Pollard he was probably going to get released, and then he came out and had a bunch of 100-yard games.
Mm-hmm.
He was very annoying. I want him to go to Washington.
He was good. Pollard was pretty good 2 years ago.
Washington's ideal. That's
if he goes to the Giants, though, like I know everybody loves Cam Scatterbo because he's like drinking, drinking energy drinks out of a shoe or whatever. But,
CTE is not real.
Yeah, like we watch 4th-round running backs get replaced all the time. Tyler Algier, Damian Pierce, Philip Lindsay. People were excited about Michael Carter with the Jets before they drafted Breece Hall. We will forget about Cam Scatterbo so quickly. It'll boggle your mind. And he brought over a bunch of these big dogs, right? Like he brought over, not just likely to go with Theo Johnson, they brought over Patrick Ricard too. Like they're setting up the battering ram over there.
This is a new coaching staff too. They don't give a crap about Cam Scatterbo. They don't know him anything.
Dude, Harbaugh probably that guy's an idiot, dude.
Joe Schoen has literally no authority anymore in that.
No, of course not, dude.
Yeah, I don't see the Commanders trading up either, so they might get.
But they probably don't have to. That's the best.
Could he fall past Washington? Do you think, or no? Is Washington?
No way.
I don't think so. I think the problem is like if he didn't play running back, then he would be picked. Like 2. The thing is, when you go and look back historically, like running back in the top 5, people always dog it, but like more running backs have finished, and I know top 5 is way stretched, but like more running backs have been drafted top 5 that have won the Super Bowl and have won the Super Bowl for the team that drafted them. I looked it up. 3 running backs picked in the top 5 won the Super Bowl for the team that drafted him, and 7 of them won the Super Bowl in general versus wide receivers. 0 wide receivers have ever won a Super Bowl with the team that drafted in the top 5, and only 2, Desmond Howard and Keyshawn Johnson, have won Super Bowls at all being picked in the top 5. So like people are always saying like running back's such a bad pick. Running back in terms of like running backs that have won the Super Bowl after being picked top 5, it's up there with linebacker and defensive lineman and quarterback.
Saquon's one.
I mean, people say running backs don't matter, but when you have a guy like McCaffrey, like he's a, you know what I mean? Like McCaffrey gives single-handedly.
So many narrative has been shifted though, even in recent years. I remember reading, it was years ago, right? Because it was especially in the peak of wide receiver heavy for builds. And it was so much about the defenses. Once the defenses adjust and, you get these smaller linebackers that are trying to keep up, well, then offenses are just going to shift back to power run games and just turning it in. And we're kind of seeing that again. And then you also have the running backs now, like all sports, like you see basketball with the advent, like how Steph Curry changed the game. Like McCaffrey's kind of changed the game. Where now, running backs, like McCaffrey's a slot receiver and a running back in one.
If you're built to win a Super Bowl, I think having a stud running back is like a need. But for a team like the Saints to go out and give Travis Etienne all that money when they have so many other needs was ridiculous. They could have signed Dowdle for like half the money.
Dude, Mickey Loomis is the worst GM that doesn't own the team.
They could have done anything else, but like Algier, Dowdle for half the money got same production. It was.
Have you adjusted to his real pronunciation of his name? It's like H-A.
No. I'll still never call him that.
You know what's funny? I've been calling Trevor H-An, but with Travis Etienne, I can't do it.
Also, I feel bad for him. That's where he's like, oh yeah, everyone just called me Etienne, so I just stopped correcting them.
Like, never changed his name.
That happened once in hockey, and everyone was like, no. Do you guys remember a guy, Zach Parise? Yeah, so he was with the New Jersey Devils, just letting all these New Jersey brothers be like, Zach Parise, hey. And then he got traded to the Wild, and he was like, my name's actually Parise. And everyone was like, no. It was like 7 years into his career, too. Everyone was like, we're not calling him that.
So I got a question for everyone. So I'm not sure. Coop, I'll probably Coop now. I co-commission all the FFPC Dynasty Leagues with Dave, and I rule on like trades pretty much every day. There was a trade that went down last week where someone traded Jonathan Brooks for a 2027 first. And keep in mind, Brooks isn't even rostered in every single league. So what is your opinion on Jonathan Brooks?
We're talking about name pronunciation, and Jake's like, let's
you don't want to talk about this obscure hockey player from like a decade ago.
Jonathan Brooks went in the 8th round in this draft, which I know is kind of sad.
I think
That's crazy.
My philosophy as a commissioner, and I know you guys don't have the luxury of this, is if you set up, like if you're the commissioner of a league and you're setting it up with and inviting the people, which you guys are not, so you're off the hook on this. But like my policy is that you should never have vetoes, and this is pretty harsh. If anything, you remove people from the league, because for me, the only reason to veto a trade is collusion, and collusion is cheating. The other reason would be if somebody doesn't know how to play, and that person also needs to be removed from the league. Because what are you going to do? Just like smack their hand once and say, "Hey, go back to play good now." Like figure out how to be good at this all of a sudden. It never works. The moment you veto somebody's trade, you've insulted them to the point where they probably need to leave the league anyway. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, when I'm the commissioner, ideally you just invite people to the league that know how to play, and then you can just let them do whatever they want. So if this is one of my leagues and somebody trades a first for Jonathan Brooks, go right ahead. I trust you.
What do you?
I trust you.
If you're,
I think it's a bad trade. People are allowed to make bad trades.
Yeah.
So the issue with FFPC like being the commissioner is that if we go out and say, hey, there was no collusion in this trade, we're going to let this trade stand, we're going to run into more collusion. Because if
that's the thing is, if you think it's collusion, then I would say that the people need to be removed from the league. If they're trying to cheat, if they're cheating, that's against FFPC rules.
Yeah. I mean, they're not cheating. They just made a bad trade.
They made a bad trade, which is not collusion. A bad trade is not collusion.
The Jonathan Brooks theme is the better conversation, I think, here.
The other part of it is if you're playing with people that know how to play and you don't let them do that trade, because I've had trades where like we had a trade that like people were up in arms about. This one kid traded away AJ Green and Adrian Peterson, and he got back a first-round pick and a rookie Allen Robinson. And everyone was like, oh, my God, this kid just ruined the league. And then AJ Green and Adrian Peterson literally fell off a cliff. And Allen Robinson went out and had 1,400 yards. And the first round pick is like, how do you know that Jonathan Brooks isn't going to be worth 2 first-round picks next year? We don't know. So that's why you just I'm going to let the kids play type of guy and say, hey, you're a knucklehead. You shouldn't have done that. But
I mean, just in a general sense, is like you don't do that for NFL teams or NBA or MLB. It's just every team has their own value system, as long as there again is no illegal like collusion going on, which is rare, assuming that you're in a high quality league.
Collusion is so hard to prove. That's the part that stinks. That's why it's like when I write an article that's like just about setting up how to set up a dynasty league. Every other paragraph is or every paragraph basically starts with, well, if you followed rule number 1, which is make sure it's good people, you make sure you're building you have good people in the league. If you followed rule number 1, you won't need to worry much about this.
My home league is going on year 16 this year. Started in middle school. Our only time I've ever had to deal with collusion in my 16 years as commish was a sophomore, junior year of high school. So we were 16, 17, not involving me. A couple of my friends. There was an Antonio Brown for a handle of whiskey or something. Was the exchange?
Yeah.
that was the that's where
college kids, man. A handle of whiskey is very valuable.
It wasn't even college; it was high school. So
high school, you let that stand. I mean, we had a deal with Donald Driver was traded for like half a steak and cheese sub in one of my leagues. Like everyone comes across that, you know what I mean? We had one called Cobbgate where it's like the classic. A trade was left up there. I think it was D'Angelo Williams for Randall Cobb, and then D'Angelo Williams shattered his leg, and the dude accepted the trade immediately. It's like that stuff comes up. But like if people are reasonable, I mean, not the whiskey thing. That's obviously just flat out cheating. But like if people are reasonable, you can get that stuff kind of corrected, But like, yeah, I mean, it's just fantasy is so funny with that stuff. That's why I always loved when Andy Behrens would put on the wig and do the fantasy judge. You ever seen that?
Vaguely.
Yeah, he would rule on that stuff, and it was entertaining because it's like there are so many insane stories in these leagues.
No, I mean it's always to pitch it out there. If you want to play Dynasty and not have to deal with any of that, you come to FFPC because Jake is in the trenches dealing all that for you.
Grinding, man.
Dealing with that, grind it. A league is never folded over an FFPC.
Nope.
If you buy an orphan team, go buy an orphan. If you want to prove yourself, winning the main event's cool. It's probably not going to happen, but go buy it.
Well, way to ruin my whole marketing strategy, Coop. Go win the $1 million. Coop's
play the big gorilla. Play the big gorilla. But go buy an orphan team and post the orphan team on your Twitter and kind of show everybody that you know ball as you resurrect this team and then come back and win, and you get a discount when you're buying it in the first place.
I think orphans are one of the coolest things we do.
Buy a bad team, post it on Twitter, say, hey, I'm going to build this team up. It'll be a championship team in 2-3 years. Follow along. That's it.
Come with me on this journey. I think
you can buy teams like in a $1,250 entry league for $1.
Right.
So it's cheaper than that. You can buy team. Well, there's an initial deposits involved, but you can get a $1,250 team for like $500. You know what I mean? Like we have the discounts we have are,
and these
great.
Teams aren't all bad. Like
no.
We got a thing. This is a good round 19 is a good chance. Jake knows it. We got someone dropping their team that I believe won their dynasty league last year due to political events happening in Iran. That was the reasoning for the team that was dropped. That was the email Jake got. So this is a championship winning team. This guy's going, man, I might get drafted.
Do you guys think Denver trades one of Troy Franklin, Mims, or any of
You're not even acknowledging that you had to deal with a string of moves.
We're out around 19.
The stuff I have to deal with is wild.
That's just a day in the life for Jake.
I want to talk about Iran.
We'll be canceled before the season starts.
Let's talk about Troy Franklin.
First draft.
Yeah, hey, that'll be my clip for the intro next year.
Yeah,
I want to talk about Iran. Let's not talk about Iran. Let's talk about Troy Franklin. I think that's a good point, man. That the thing is, it's hard to convince people to take guys that you don't need, that you don't want.
Clearly,
that's why I think the Chargers are in a golden position to go out and say, we only use two wide receivers. Please, we will trade Quentin Johnson. It's just like in Dynasty. People become a lot more approachable when you could explain to them why you need to trade these guys away. That's why no one will trade for Brandon Ayuk. They know they got the 49ers by the cojones here, that the guy's been hurt. He doesn't want to play for them. There's no opportunity there. For these guys, it was smart of them to trade away Devon Vele before all this is going on, because now that you've traded for Waddle, how do you find a partner that's going to give you fair value?
There's no leverage, but
no leverage. Yeah, you lost all leverage. And the thing with some of these guys, the other problem with wide receivers is that when they walk in free agency, someone's always willing to throw a bag at them, and you kind of get back a 5th round, 6th round comp pick just for guys that have a pulse. You get a 4th round comp pick for somebody that gets $13-14 million. None of these guys are going to get that, but it's like when guys leave, you just kind of get, it's almost like it's just so hard. It's so hard to find the right.
I would really hate to see the Chargers give up on Trey Harris and sign another wide receiver. There's just so many young players that for the Steelers, they pretty much already gave up on Caleb Johnson by signing Dowdle, right?
Quentin Johnston. Here's a hot take. Quentin Johnston gets traded during the draft, and then everyone gets very excited about Trey Harris, and then right after the draft, they sign Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, just give these guys.
By the way, Juwan Jennings going after Stephon Diggs in terms of free agent receivers is a little bit nutty.
I think what's going on with Juwan Jennings is that the way it works with compensatory picks is that if you were signed before the NFL draft, you're counted to the formula. If you're signed after it, you don't count. And you look at, the team like the Chargers, right? They're trying to collect a 3rd round comp pick for Ali Ansa that went to the Commanders. You're looking at some of these teams Kubiak. Kubiak obviously worked with all 3 of the Kubiak and Mike McDaniel worked with all three of Ayuk, Jennings, and Deebo Samuel back in 2023 and 2022 or so with the 49ers. Like, there's probably some handshake deals out there with some of these teams. I wouldn't be surprised if right after the NFL draft you saw these guys getting signed, especially to teams that are trying to kind of navigate that comp pick formula. I think it is a pretty big loophole to be able to do that. I think it's dumb of the NFL to allow that.
I just want to, because the chat, Adam Hahn has been hyping him up for at least 5 rounds now. First pick of the last round of the draft was Tyler Shuck, who, hand up, impressed me in his tenure in his rookie year.
What was my take last year? What if he's Bo Nix?
Yeah. Tyler Shuck, I want to hear your guys' thoughts just for Adam, because he's been saying he's going to be a steal. He goes in the 20th round, QB 22. Do we continue to see improvement from that offense enough where Tyler Shuck is a Bo Nix type guy? Is it just top QB1?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be good for, real life, he's going to suck. But for fantasy, I think he'll be fine.
But is he? Is he going to suck in real life?
If he sucks,
the 7.5 wins, is that what you said, Coop, that they had?
That's the line. That's the line.
Yeah, I would take like 5.5. Like, I would go so far below that. I think
if the Saints win 5 games, he's in huge trouble because the leash for second-round pick quarterbacks is 0. Davis Mills had a better season as a rookie than Tyler Shuck, and he's a second-round pick quarterback, and he was toast. I mean, Sam Howell.
Drew Lock, second year.
Drew Lock, Sam Howell. Dude, how many quarterbacks in the league? If you go and look at all the second-round pick quarterbacks that had QB1 seasons, they're virtually all Drew Brees and Jalen Hurts. You know, it's like, so the leash is short. I will say, I'm willing to bet on him.
Derek Carr year. Hell yeah.
Yeah, one Derek Carr year. Yeah, Andy Dalton, definitely.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Andy Dalton threw a couple in there. But, dude, virtually every good quarterback is a first-round pick. Virtually every good quarterback is either the first or the second one taken off the board. Like, you get a couple. Russell Wilson has the most fantasy points all time for the QB drafted in the 3rd round. Number 2 is Matt Schaub.
Remember that year that Matt Schaub had like 4 straight games with a pick 6?
Yeah,
I got a crazy segue into another question.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have segues. You just bowl them over.
Aside from 1A, 1B running backs, like we're not like, Warren and Dowdle, we're not talking that. Yeah. Who do you think right now is the best handcuff in the league? Like, I'm talking Brian Robinson, Keaton Mitchell. Like, who do you think is like the best handcuff right now?
Keaton Mitchell.
Best handcuff. Yeah. I mean, we love that scheme, and he's explosive player.
Ray Davis.
Like, Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, he's on the bum.
The problem with Ray Davis is they love Ty Johnson.
Yeah, they do.
For some reason, I don't understand.
He's purely handcuffed, right? As if the starter gets injured. Ray Davis.
I will say Blake Corum.
Yeah.
Love Blake.
Honestly,
I thought Blake Corum was too easy of an answer.
I think we're going to. I think this year,
like a little hipster sneaky answer.
Yeah. I think this year that backfield's going to be a lot closer to 50-50 than people think. Because Corum is better than Kyron.
I'll say Travion Henderson.
Mike Vrabel, man.
Vrabel was the best answer ever for a very complicated topic today. Just off his cuff while he's eating like a sandwich or whatever. Like, I love Vrabel, bro. He rocks, dude. He's just like.
That's one thing we don't agree on.
What, dude? Vrabel rules. What's the matter with you, Turk?
Not fantasy-wise, at least.
For fantasy, of course not. But just in general, dude.
No, he's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Nah. Terp changing his tune after Terp last year was.
I thought for a second I was going to disagree with Terp on something, but we do agree.
This is Terp. I'm going to imitate Terp. Mike Vrabel. Yeah, he's a good motivator, man, but
he's a terrible coach.
Get down to do Terp. You got to get down here, take a sip
a little bit.
The neuter, he's got to get a
neuter going.
Steve G popped out with the Jordan James.
That's
handcuff. What do you guys
Whoever's
think?
the backup there.
I think they draft someone, but
Chris Rodriguez. I think Chris Rodriguez is going to be the guy there. By the way,
don't they have they look
no,
like
Aidan? What are you doing?
No,
first off, didn't he have the second most guaranteed money out of any running back?
How many career receptions does Chris Rodriguez have?
All I
No,
know is,
zero.
hey,
Zero.
I am reminiscing about my
Take a
limited
guess.
glory days of Kentucky football.
Oh,
with Liam Cohen and
Kentucky
Chris
football,
Rodriguez.
Liam Cohen.
I mean,
How many
Liam Cohen and
receptions?
Chris Rodriguez? 4.
That's very close. It's
28.
6
Wow.
career receptions in the NFL.
Somebody
in
else
3
can
years.
try.
They also have LeQuint. I mean, I think Tootin's going to be great, but they have LeQuint. I mean, I just don't see the Rodriguez height.
You want to hear something funny for
Brian
LeQuint Allen?
Robinson? If Bijan goes down, or is it just cooked, or is Brian?
I think Brian Robinson.
You want to hear something funny for LeQuint Allen? I went in fantasy points data suite and I took all receptions plus carries, and I called that. Oh, sorry, targets plus carries, and I called that a look, right? And then I took all players and sorted them by looks divided by snaps to see who is getting the fewest looks per snap. Dude, LeQuint Allen was in a tier of his own. I don't know what he is doing out there when he's on the field, but he is not touching the ball. It is wild.
Taking days. Yeah.
He played a ton of snaps. Go look at how many snaps that he was playing, like 20% of the snaps every week, never getting the ball.
Yeah, it was
Maybe is he a good blocker? Who's like
Yes. Great pass blocker.
There you go.
Cardio,
That's better.
yeah, there it is. I think it's always probably time to start wrapping up our stream when Index's suspicion in the chat is, talking about the Stidler making plays against Drake, man. So
I still gotta eat dinner.
yeah, it's,
I don't want to leave though. I'm scared. I forgot to mention you guys. Right before the show, my daughter turned to me and she goes, and she's 2.5 years old, 2.5 years old. She goes, I saw a man in the sunroom. I was like, what?
Oh, no.
She goes, I saw a man in the sunroom, and she goes, his name was Mr. Silent. Like, do I need to move? Like, do I need to burn my house
No,
down?
you just need to change out your team names, Mr. Silent.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Dude, you saw that? And then she's like, night, daddy. I'm like, what? You're going to bed?
Did anyone see the
We gotta
final
talk
season?
about this.
Did anyone see the final season of Stranger Things?
There's literally Dubai. My house
What's it? Like,
my house
Jesus.
is just woods, dude. For I'm like, no. Like, what have you done?
You're gonna have to
Oh,
bring
there
this
you
up in the morning.
Mr. Silent. That's my name now. I'll leave you guys with that.
Silence. Hell yeah. Coop, before we go, though, please, one more time, just let the people know where they can find you, all your work, written and audio formats, please.
Yes, for sure. I'm very, this time of year, very friendly with the free stuff. So the rankings, my dynasty rankings, my rookie pre-draft rankings, my best ball rankings, those are all paywalled for the Fantasy Alarm members. But I do a ton of free articles like the one you mentioned earlier, landing spots for all rookies. That's all coming out now over at Fantasy Alarm. Our YouTube, I got a show coming up tomorrow. We're firing it back up. I think Dave Kluge is going to come on, talk a little running backs. And then Sirius XM, Channel 87, Thursdays and Fridays, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'm on there chopping it up with Bender. So as always, a lot of good stuff going on, man. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I love these shows, dude. Love to kick it off, and I can't wait to wrap it too this year. Let's go.
Hell yeah, we will. And my little bump, our YouTube is active. Bulky got a bunch of shows coming out tomorrow, Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern time. High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. Him and Farrell have on Steve Ezzo, a 11-time Dynasty League champ.
Nice.
And then Thursday, FFPC Insider Access with Coop, I believe you have been on. They got Bob Harris from Football Guys. And then they got the Extra Reps HSF Hour show on Friday. We will be back with our next live draft coverage. Not set yet, but we're targeting a Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament live stream in April. And then May, we're going to kind of start up the weekly coverage between Big Gorillas, Baby Gorillas, Best Ball Tournament, and the main event. So obviously be on the lookout. We'll kind of keep you guys in the loop there. So for myself, Andrew Cooper, Dave Terpoilli, Jake Venuti, thank you guys, everyone, for coming in March to watch 12 drafters go for $1 million. We'll see you guys next time.
Just begun.